Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Build Erebor, the mountain dwarf fortress from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Now, a quick recap about where we are so far. We've built the colossal lonely mountain, and that's what you see dead ahead of you. And we've set out the area for the entrance to Erebor. That's the kind of archway that you also see. Now, out the front of Lonely Mountain, we've set out an area that we're going to put the town of Dale on. And last week, I framed that area with a loose sandstone wall and asked you guys at home to draw maps of what you wanted to see in Dale. And we were swamped with maps, and it took me ages to go through them. And I'm sorry if I didn't get to see yours, or you don't see yours in the video, but here are some of the few ones that I picked out that kind of caught my eye. Some of you remembering that we put a XXX casino in the kingdom, and that's a nice Easter egg. But what I liked about some of the ideas was that you didn't just go for specific buildings, you went for a zone approach, and that's what I'm going to do when I plan out my area. I'm going to map it out into zones so that we can get sorted and put down specific buildings once we know where the roads and zones are. Now, a few entries stood out, like this one by Black Keys, this fantastically hand-drawn with pencils map. This expertly drawn map by Jonathan as well has the feeling of an architect about it somewhat. And of course the Fen's nice pencil drawing there as well. Now, one of the quirky things I noticed about the whole map in general is that when you come out up above it at night and take a look, it almost looks like the One Ring down there glowing in the darkness, and that's a pretty cool effect. So what are we doing first up this episode? Well, we're going to do the river that goes through Dale. Now, a lot of you featured that in the map, and of course in the book The Hobbit, the Hobbit's, well, spoilers, but there is a river near Dale. So I made this rock cylinder outside the front of Erebor, and this is going to be a kind of like pool, waterfall kind of thing that's going to stream out of the mountain and into a little river that's going to run through Dale. So I made the stone cylinder there, the rock cylinder. Threw down some stone brushes and just tidied up the place, and then I put down that shining slate of water. Now, water in this shader pack with these textures is a bit hard to see from a distance because it's very shiny and it's see-through, it's not blue. So you can see it here as we're getting closer, and I start to dig out the channel for the river with the World Edit brush tool. Now, this is a brush that's just set to sphere, about 5 block radius, and of course the material that the brush is painting is air, so it's cutting a path through the foundations of Dale to create our river. I was using the fix water command to make sure the river flowed well through Dale, and it branches off a little bit there into the middle of Dale, and then comes down here to what will be a huge lake, because there's a lake at the edge of Dale, and unfortunately you can't see me accurately carve out this lake because, well, the chunks aren't updating fast enough, so that's just not happening before your eyes. But trust me, the lake is being created, and you'll see that any second now when we come around and see the finished lake with a nice shiny sheen of water across the surface. And here you see the waterfalls outside the front of Erebor. They go into a little river section that channels down and meanders down through into Dale and through the foundations and ground that we terraformed in the previous episodes. Now, the river here is a little bit shallow as well, which means when you pull out, you can see the rock underneath, and that's not something I want. And ideally, actually, the riverbed should be mud. So that's something I'll have to change. I'll have to make the river deeper, and I'll have to make the materials at the bottom of it mud. And there you see the lake, and the shadows and the reflections of the forest biome that we haven't quite finished, the jungle biome that we haven't finished getting rid of, reflecting in the surface of the lake. And that's a pretty looking lake, and the shaders do really bring out the reflective properties of water, and that's pretty cool, and of course the mountain in the back there. Now, as we fly over Dale, let me tell you what I've got planned for the town itself. Now, you guys really put me to shame with the detail of your drawings, so I feel really bad by how loosely I'm planning out my town. But first things first, Dale is a trade town, so trade is going to go right there. Then we need to think about the town buildings, like the government buildings, like the town hall, maybe church, all the official buildings. Once they're taken care of, we can come up to the rich residential, and that's going to be across the right of the town, and then the poor residential is going to pick up the slack and be lakeside down the bottom. Now again, you guys really blew me away with your maps, and I got a load of cool ideas from watching them and taking a look at them, but this is how the zones are going to be planned out, and as soon as we finish the walls, we will get building the roads to frame the zones, and then we can start thinking about foundations for buildings. Now, speaking of walls, it was time for me to design how I wanted the walls to look. Now, I chose this small section of wall to develop the theme for the wall, to decide what I wanted it to look like, so that I could continue that pattern across the rest of the walls. And I had a few ideas. I wanted the base to be sandstone. I wanted it to be mostly sandstone. And I needed another brick that had a stair brick. So the obvious choice for me was light stone brick. Since it's quite grey and light, sandstone itself has steps, and that's a really useful feature with this version of Minecraft. But I also really liked the stone brick effect that I'm building here, and I wanted that kind of pillar effect which would match with the crenellations to create this kind of jaggedy spiked wall. Now, there's a lot of cool sandstone textures as well with the new Minecraft versions. Not only do you get sandstone steps, but you also get etched sandstone and smooth sandstone. Now, I tried alternating with etched sandstone, but it didn't look different enough. It didn't look different enough from the sandstone to really stand out, especially with the shaders. So I stuck with the stone brick and started putting down the foundations for the stone brick pillars. Now, these would be every 2 blocks. The only difference being where the walls were jagged, they would be every 5 blocks. And then I began the arduous task of starting to build the walls of Dale. Now, there are even more walls here than there were for the kingdom, and the design for the walls is very different. It's not so straight. There's a lot of jaggedy bits, and it's not just pure stone brick. It's a mixture of sandstone and stone brick with some dodgy crenellation work and creative use of upside down steps and normal steps as well. So that makes them quite tricky to build compared to the old walls, and it took me a long time to get these right. Also, I wasn't sure how I wanted to do the stone brick pillars for the areas where the walls go diagonally, and it took me a few iterations to come up with something I was happy with. Using, of course, the lightest wood, the birchwood planks, as the floor for inside the walls, because these walls are going to be thick enough for players or guards to walk through them and defend the walls of Dale. But also using that same wood on top as a floor for the guards that want to patrol on top of the roofs to walk across. And there you go, the stone brick steps and the sandstone coming together to create the walls of Dale. But that's only one side. It took me that long to make one side of the wall, and almost longer to make the other side. It was at that point that I knew the walls of Dale were going to be something monumental to build. It was going to take me literally hours. So I got out World Edit and I thought, hang on a sec, I can use the copy and paste tool to make this a little bit easier. However, I came across problems where the walls were jagged because I can't really copy paste as well as I can on walls that go in a straight line. So I came across to the other sections of the wall that were straight and used the copy paste tool from World Edit to create these straight lines of walls that you see here. And this really sped up the process. If I wasn't using the World Edit copy and paste tool, I think this would have taken me easily 6 or 7 hours to do the whole walls of Dale, even more probably. And here you see me on the west side of Dale, finishing up the walls over here, going up and down as the contours of the landscape allow me to. Now, some areas that were diagonal I skipped, others I transformed into areas that were kind of straight. So what we'll have is a Dale that's slightly more straight line edged, than the map that you guys have seen, but it should still preserve roughly the same shape. Finishing up by putting a few torches on the walls here, and adjusting the stone brick steps where I'd cut and paste a little bit too shy. And here you go, as we circle the walls, you can see what we've done so far. Now there's a lot left to be done on the walls. Hopefully I'll get that done for you guys before we even start next episode of Let's Build. And then we can get onto the building the canals perhaps, if we want to do something with the river. If not, just the roads. But once the roads are in place, and once you've got bridges and clear definitions of different levels that we want on the town, we can start thinking about zone planning and then building planning, and that's when things are going to get really cool. And to think, we haven't even looked at the dwarf fortress itself of Erebor. So this is truly going to be a really colossal build, probably even bigger than the evil fortress, and I think that took about 15 episodes to get the whole thing done. So I've been Sjin, and this has been Let's Build Erebor. Thanks for watching, hit like and favourite, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.